Alright, hey guys, it's me again, and today I'm going to talk about the Acolytes and the Acolyte mods. And honestly, the Acolyte mods need something else in the loot table. Like, they need more mods or some sort of like exclusive weapons or something to make them worth like grinding. Because, okay, the Acolytes like left about like yesterday, and when the Acolytes showed up this time around, nobody was really excited to farm them at all. Because like, there's only one mod that was even worth getting from the Acolytes, and that's Weeping Wounds. But other than that, all the other mods that they have that were worth getting have been nerfed into the ground. So there's not like a whole real reason to even go after Acolytes, right? Now I'm gonna go over all these mods and just show you that like there's a much better alternative to most of these mods, right? For example, Argon Scope. This was introduced in the time before Rivens existed. And this is also like before we had Vigilante Armaments and 100 Munitions, right? So this is a pretty good mod for a lot of weapons at the time, because that means they could red crit. Also, pre-nerf with explosion weapons, for example, like explosive weapons would always proc this on hit. Doesn't matter where you actually hit them, the explosion would always hit the head, and that's probably why the Tonkor did so much damage back then, but this just made it even better. But that's not the case anymore. And what replaced Argon Scope really was, Vigilante Armaments, 100 Munitions, and Rivens. Because like, with Rivens, you don't even have to worry about like getting a headshot and aiming down sights, because that's two things you have to do to get the bonus of this. Same thing with bladed rounds. Like, I remember there was a huge debate back then on which was better, Argon Scope or bladed rounds, and sometimes you'd even see both in the same build, right? Same thing with bladed rounds, right? If you're not aiming down sights, you don't get the bonus, right? Now, luckily this procced on kill instead of on headshot, but again, Vigilante Armaments is just better mod than this. And 100 Munitions, also better mod, does more. Now, Catalyzer Link in all the status associated mods. So we have Catalyzer Link, we have Nano Applicator, and we have Embedded Catalyzer. These weapons seem okay on paper, but in practice they weren't that good, because you're using 5 fucking mods to get 100% status chance on one weapon. And on rifles, typically you wouldn't use this, and you definitely wouldn't use the secondary version. And for shotguns, this seemed fine, because it made some weapons, like the comb, for example, able to hit 100% status chance, even though they couldn't for dual stats. But, no, it's better than Nano Applicator, Modus Setup. It increases my crit chance and my status chance by 100%, instead of just my status chance alone for 90%. And all I have to do to activate this is double jump. And Nano Applicator, and of course the other associated mods, require me to use an ability first, right? And that costs energy. Where Modus Setup, all you have to do is jump, and you got the status chance buff. So there's no real reason to use this now. Now, Laser Sight is the same thing as Argon Scope, but for shotguns. And this is okay in some scenarios, because Blunderbuss, which is the crit chance mod for shotguns, just doesn't give you a whole lot of crit chance compared to the rifles. So in some cases this is okay, but in most cases you wouldn't use this, right? Now let's talk about the accuracy mods, which are Guided Ordnance and Narrow Barrel, which give you accuracy. These are okay, thankfully, because they're X-less mods, but like shotgun spread isn't a huge problem, right, on most shotguns. And even then, occasionally you'd use Guided Ordnance, but it's not like a must-have mod. It's just nice to have if you have it. But other than that, there's no reason, because there are better X-less mods, like, for example, Ammo Mutation. Or even if you don't have Guided Ordnance, Stabilizer, in most cases, is probably just going to do you just as good. Shrapnel Shot, again, there isn't really a whole real reason to use this over, say, Vigilante Armaments, because that's just better. Especially in shotguns cases, where they get a whole new set of fucking pellets. So why use Shrapnel Shot? Now, Repeater Clip and Spring-Loaded Chamber, these would be okay if they worked on A, battery weapons, or B, bows, but they don't. Spring-loaded chamber only works on assault rifles, and assault rifles have perfectly fine fire rates for the most part. And shotguns, like, this is only really good on the Corinth, right? If you want to make a grenade launcher build with the Corinth, that's what you'd use this for, and that's it. Now let's go over to the secondary mods, right? We have Embedded Catalyzer, talk about that. Hydraulic Crosshair, same thing as Argon Scope. It's just outclassed by a lot of mods. For example, Auger Pact, for the same amount of mod capacity that you get Hydraulic Crosshairs for, why not just get straight up damage? pressurized magazine. I can't name any gun off the top of my head that would benefit from this. Other than maybe the Pandero and maybe the Kuva Kraken. Sharpened bullets is just bladed rounds but for pistols. And it's outclassed by a lot of mods. And it's only really useful on maybe the Kuva Nucor. And that's only if you only aim down sights with the weapon, and that's it. Targeting subsystem. It's nice to have. The only weapon I see using targeting subsystem on is the Kuva Brak. And then melee mods. These are probably the most sought after out of all of the Acolyte mods, but here's the problem. Now, Blood Rush is cool, good mod, but you can get this from Lewis Spy. And Lewis Spy, once you figure out Lewis Spy, it's super easy. It is extremely, you can do it with any frame once you figure out Lewis Spy and get the pattern down. Because the patterns, they don't change. There's no variation from the 3 volts. So why even bother waiting for the Acolytes when you just get it right now? Body count. This was bodied by drifting contact. There's no real need to worry about body count now, especially since they buffed the default combo duration from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. So you don't really need combo duration anymore, but if you do, drifting contact is just better because it costs only 5 points versus this costs fucking 9, right? This is a must-have back then with the Blood Rush, because this was the only combo duration mod back then. But now, there's no point. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea this mod was an Acolyte mod. But even then, I tested this out for a parry build before. It doesn't help you at all. In fact, I almost want to say this thing doesn't even work. And as far as blocking angle goes, that block angle really doesn't really save you. So, and I don't know why this is locked to Acolytes anyways. Maiming Strike has been nerfed into the dirt. We already know this is not an additive bonus, it's multiplicative now. And they nerfed Blood Rush so that, like, crit chance mods, right, don't add to this anymore. It's only based off of the base crit chance. So that also hurts Maiming Strike. On top of that, combo doesn't really help light attacks. So that also hurts Maiming Strike. So Maiming Strike has been nerfed into the dirt. So there's no reason to go after this mod anymore. And now Weeping Wounds is probably the only real reason you'd want to even do Acolytes now. But even this has been nerfed. It's been nerfed so that it only scales off of base status and not like the modded status. But even then it's pretty solid mod when you need it, but in most cases you probably won't need this. So with that said, either some of these mods needs like buffs or adjustments or something, or they just need new mods in their loot pools, honestly. Because like a good fucking 98% of these mods are trash. Like all these mods they just reek of the era they came from. They're old. This is the era before Rivens, before Vigilante armaments, before hunting munitions. What's the point now? Like, I know for damn sure I didn't fight any Acolytes this time around. And the only one I did fight was by sheer coincidence because I was also trying to get a Kuva Larvaling in that same mission. There's really no point in bothering with these mods. And even then, the only one that is worth bothering is Weeping Wounds, but Weeping Wounds is super cheap on the marketplace. So, who cares? I guess this would be kind of good for new players. That's about it. And even then, these mods don't really help out new players at all. Anyway guys, that's all from me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.